Today's Valentine's Day, and it's not a particularly happy day for us. Vanessa should be here with us now. After almost a year of living here in Australia with us, she's now back in the Philippines and her visa has been cancelled. Right now, she's denied entry to Australia. Much worse than being separated on this Valentine's Day is that she's separated from her children. Ironically, today is exactly 1 year since we received confirmation that our prospective partner visa had been lodged. At the same time, we lodged a tourist visa. It was only a week later or so that we received a notice that the tourist visa had been granted. Multiple entry, 3 months each stay for 12 months. Anyone that's ever been involved in getting a visa for Australia in the Philippines knows that it's a very strict process. Australian immigration make you jump through 100 or more hoops. Many seem mindlessly arbitrary and bureaucratic to my mind. But when it comes to controlling who can enter Australia, they have a monopoly. And you must jump through every hoop they present to you, regardless of how irrelevant and silly they seem. That the only option available to us to bring my prospective wife and our Australian children to Australia immediately was by using a tourist visa is a good example. She's not a tourist. Yet even saying this to an Australian immigration official would result in her being denied entry to the country. We were even warned that with each mandatory exit of the country after 3 months, she must stay away for at least 3 to 7 days. An overnight stay in Singapore and back the next day would not cut it. It would be considered by immigration an indication that she's not a genuine tourist, and she'd be denied entry. Any intelligent person can see how divorced from reality this use and implementation of the tourist visa for people awaiting other more permanent visas is. The thing is, they do take into consideration when granting the tourist visa that you've applied for a permanent visa and paid the $7,000. And from what I'm told, the tourist visa is almost always automatically granted when done in conjunction with a more permanent visa. So it can't be claimed that the two are totally separate and unrelated. Yet after it's granted, it's administered the same way a normal tourist visa is. Thus, the denial of entry if you just spend an overnighter in Singapore and come back the next day. Anyway, back to our story. We arrived in Australia on the 3rd of March 2018 and complied with the 3-month visa conditions, leaving the country every 3 months. I won't even talk about the unnecessary expense and burden this arbitrary system imposes on families. It was on the final exit where we encountered the problem. Her visa was expiring on the 15th of February. Looking at this date and taking into account other things going on in our lives, such as the children just about to start school, I booked her ticket to depart on the 5th of February and return on the 12th of February. 3 days before her visa was due to expire, so I believed. After dropping Vanessa at the airport, I received a distressed call. She was in the departure lounge, having just cleared immigration. They just informed her that her visa had already expired. She protested politely, because she's always very polite, that it expired on the 15th. They reiterated that it had already expired, adding that it expired on the 1st of February, and suggested that she tell her husband to get in contact with immigration. Upon hearing this, the penny dropped. I immediately realised what had happened. It was already in the evening, so the next day I checked and discovered that her visa had been cancelled. It was cancelled for a 4-day overstay. I can't say that I wasn't warned about the importance of complying with the visa conditions. I was. So I accept full responsibility for my mistake. The only thing I'll say in defence is that I'm only human and I made a genuine mistake. I was focused on her coming back on the 15th before her visa was due to expire, and I neglected to calculate correctly the time since her last arrival in Australia. I've subsequently learned that immigration at the airport have some discretion about deciding if to cancel a visa for such an infringement. In our case, they decided to cancel it. The question I have is, under what circumstances would they decide to use that discretion? If this wasn't a situation worthy of showing some discretion, then I don't know what would be. Only 4 days over, and it would have been obvious from her response that it was a genuine mistake that she was unaware of. So maybe a firm warning would have been more appropriate. But no, they cancelled our visa. So now we've wasted a return ticket and have to purchase another one once a new visa is granted. We also have the expense of having to apply for a new tourist visa, but I'm told that it's much more than that, because they treat every new visa application like a first, requiring you to jump through every hoop again. Despite having all your information on file, you have to provide it all again. It's now almost been 2 weeks since you left the country, and we're still preparing the application, which hopefully will be lodged very soon. And until Vanessa comes back, I'm a single dad. I had to previously look after the children for just over 2 months when Vanessa returned for other visa requirements, additional requirements. To say it's not easy being a single parent is an understatement. And I know there are many out there for which this is a reality, not just for a couple of months, but for year after year. And I take my hat off to you. The bottom line is the children need their mother, and so do I. This is also impacting on my ability to work. I've already had to decline work, which further compounds our financial situation with Vanessa being out of the country. Even more concerning right now is that I've just been offered a full-time role. I've been through a long process of interviews and providing information, and I'm just at the stage now of waiting for the police check, the federal police check, which will be just a matter of formality. So I could be expected to start in this new role in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Without Vanessa here to care for the kids, I'm not sure whether I'll be able to. We had hoped that the permanent visa would have been granted by now. You'd think that after being together for 11 years, with 2 children registered as Australian citizens, that the process would not take so long. I'd like to ask how much longer it will take, but I've been warned not to. Apparently, immigration do not like applicants making inquiries about the progress of their visa applications. And when you do so, there is a real possibility that you'll be put further down the list. So the impact of this simple mistake, this genuine mistake, has, in my case, been very costly. So I'm making this video as a warning to be very, very careful about complying with visa conditions.